You see, the thing is, January goes at a snail's pace, and then you get to February, and it's like the year just goes on turbo mode. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am taking the Quarter Year Crisis book tag. This was created by Róisín from Róisín's Reading because she noticed that there was a mid-year crisis book tag. There was something about the end of the year that we could talk about, what we wanted to finish out to wrap up the year, but there was nothing to talk about how the first couple of months of the year had gone. So this is a great time to kind of look back about January, February and March and just to see where my reading has taken me through there. Starting off with the most obvious question, how many books have you read so far this year? As we stand, I have got 27 books ticked off. And I think that is pretty good going when you remember that in the start of the year, I was actually in quite a bad reading slump. My reading in December is generally very stilted. I don't find the flow in December when it comes to my reading. And for some reason, this carried over a little bit into early January for me. I'm not sure what happened. I think it was just that the books that I was picking up weren't working for me, or that I just had a little bit of a hangover as to how my reading had gone in December. But whatever it was, it took me until about mid-January to actually find my flow with reading. Luckily, once I did get into the swing of it, I did pick up the pace quite quickly, and as of now, I got 27 books already ticked off. The next question is, have you already found a book that you think might be a 5-star best read for 2024? Not entirely sure. There have been a couple of books that have really interested me, and there have been a couple of books that I've really loved, but so far I don't think anything is sticking out as this is the best book of the year already. If there is one that could take that title, at the moment it's probably Whatever Happened to Birdie Troy by Rachel English. This is the story of Stacey, who has just had a relationship breakup. She's had to go and find a new apartment to live in. Her whole life is basically in turmoil. And she has a podcast called Whatever Happened To, where she looks back at obscure celebrities from the 80s and 90s and finds out what they're getting up to at the moment. She decides that the focus for one of her next episodes is going to be Birdie Troy. Birdie was the front woman of the band The Diamonds, who had one hit single and then just disappeared into the ethers. Nobody had ever seen them again, nobody had ever heard anything from them again, but Stacey is determined to find out what it was that happened to Birdie. As you can tell from the description, it has quite a similar vibe to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's not quite the full cast interviewing style book that is, but it does have a bit of a mystery. It does have a lot to do with the music industry, especially the music industry in the 80s in Ireland, and I absolutely loved that book. I think if I had to talk about what could be the book of the year so far, it's probably that. On the contrary, are there any books that didn't hit the mark and that have disappointed you this year? And unfortunately, yes. I was so excited for Aisling Ever After by Sarah Breen and Emer McLeod. It was the end of the Aisling series. It was going to be the final book that they had written, and I really wanted the best send-off for Aisling. Sadly, I just didn't get that. I felt like all of the progress and all of the growth and all of the self-improvement that Aisling had had in the fourth book was completely swept away within maybe the first 10 or 20 pages. And I really wish that she had gotten a completely different ending. When I put my Instagram review up, there were a couple of people who said, I actually agree with you. I don't think that this is the ending that Aisling deserved. I think that she deserved a totally different life. I think she deserved a different outcome. Maybe she should have stayed here. Maybe she should have stayed with this person. Maybe she should have gotten this job. I just don't think it was the ending that Aisling deserved. You might think that the answer to the question, what is your most read genre for this year already, might be a set-in-stone romance, but actually romance is only my second most read genre for this year. So far, my most read genre is contemporary fiction, with 17 books of the 27 that I've already read ticking off that box. You might think that the answer to what is your most read genre this year is the completely obvious one. You might be expecting me to say romance, but actually romance is only my second read genre this year. My most read genre for 2024 so far has actually been contemporary fiction, with 12 books out of the 27 that I have read being a contemporary book. I don't know if there is specifically a reason for me kind of leaning a little bit more towards contemporary fiction than leaning towards romance. There are books that I have read that are contemporary books that have had a romantic subplot in them, but that I would say that they more so tick the contemporary box than they do for romance. What is a book you read so far this year that surprised you? And for me, that is Savage Her Reply by Deirdre Sullivan. I am not a big mythology girly. I knew that when I went into it because I have tried out a couple of mythology books that I didn't love. I've tried Ariadne, I have tried the Song of Achilles, I've tried Circe. None of those were doing anything for me. So I thought, hey, maybe it's just that mythology doesn't work for me. But during March, I tried to read as many books by Irish authors as I can get my hands on. And I knew that I had an arc for Saboteur Reply back from when it came out in 2020. And I really wanted to give it a try this time. I really wanted to give it a college go and to see if mythology really just wasn't for me. It turns out mythology really works for me if it is my own mythology. This is a retelling of the story of the Children of Lear, which is an Irish mythological story, and it follows Lear, whose wife has died in childbirth, and he marries her sister Aoife. Lear has 4 children, A, Fionnuala, Con, and Fiachra. Aoife is instantly jealous of the bond that Lear and his children have. She is instantly jealous of the fact that he seems to love them a lot more than he's ever loved her. And she enacts her revenge by turning the 4 children into swans. They are forced to live the next 900 years as swans, and they're going to spend 300-year stints in a different body of water in or around Ireland. I was a little bit concerned because quite a lot of that activity was taken up by the first third of the story, so I was a little bit concerned as to what's going to happen after this. But it turns out that the story was so fleshed out and was so well told, it just gripped me right from the word go. What is a book that has come out already in 2024 that you would love to read but you haven't gotten to yet? I actually don't have one for this. There are a couple of books that have already come out that I have definitely already gotten my hands on, but there is a book that is still to come out and is only going to come out in a couple of weeks, and I just cannot wait to pick it up. That book is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I know she can be a little bit of a Marmite author. Some of my friends absolutely worship the ground that she walks on, whereas some of my other friends aren't so enamored by her stories. I am very firmly in camp A. I've had a great time with all of the books from Emily Henry that I have read so far, and I am really interested to see where this one is going to take us, because it is about a writer, because it is kind of a second chance romance, which doesn't always work for me, but I am willing to go into it and just give it a try. What is one goal that you made at the start of the year that so far you are succeeding at? At present, my physical TBR is at 50, and I wanted to get my physical TBR at and under 50. So I'm on track. I'm doing pretty well. I think I've listened to more of the books that are on my TBR as audiobooks in an effort to try and get them out, but I am very slowly chipping my way up the block, and we're making progress. I didn't think that was something I would be able to say this early in the year, but we're making progress. And on the other side of the coin, what is a goal that you have made at the start of the year that you maybe need to concentrate a little bit more on? I definitely need to read a couple more books in German. I said that it was something I wanted to do right across the entirety of the year, but I had the stipulation that this time it had to be a book that I hadn't read in English before. Any of the books that I have read in German so far have been translations of the books that I've already read and that I've already loved, that I know the story of. I just needed to concentrate on the language and on the syntax. This time I want to see if I can actually understand the story. I want to see if my German is actually strong enough for me to actually pick up a brand new book and see if I can understand what is happening in the story. Not just, do I understand the language? Finally, who are some new to you booktubers or bookstagrammers or book talkers that you discovered across the start of 2024 who you want to give a shout out to? And I have got 2 people here. I think I actually discovered them a little bit later towards the end of 2023, but I have carried on my love of them into 2024. The first one is Leandra from the TBR Zero. She is a pretty new booktuber. I think she's only been on for about a year or 2, and she has already integrated so well in the community. She has got some fantastic reading sprints where she will introduce you to brand new booktubers to go and check out. She has made the TBR-a-thon, which took place in, I think it was January. In April, she has got the library-a-thon because Leandra works at her local library once a week. So she really wants you to celebrate going to your local library and actually making use of that facility. I absolutely love Leandra. She is so bubbly, she is so warm, she is really friendly, and I feel like we vibe quite well with one another because our senses of humor are quite similar. So I have always had a great time whenever I'm watching her videos or whenever I'm on a stream with her. Another booktuber that you should go and check out because they also do quite a lot of readathons is Rainy from Rainy Blue Reads. I met Rainy properly in November of 2023 when I took part in the Get a Clue readathon. I'd seen a couple of videos of hers there and then, and I had commented on them and we'd been following each other on Instagram, but we'd never actually properly interacted with one another. Until November came along and I took part in the Get a Clue readathon, and I was kind of going for blood when I was taking part in that. Then, when February rolled around, I also took part in the Battle of the Girl Bands readathon, which was a reimagining of the Battle of the Boy Bands readathon from February of last year. I had such a great time with the two of those readathons. She plans them out so well and so meticulously that there's basically no stone overturned. But something else that I really love about Rainy is her TBR game. Every single month, Rainy plays a TBR game that is based on the trivia quiz from the trivia quiz episode in Friends. And at the end of picking out her books, she does a little quiz about her friends' knowledge. And if she gets more than 3 of them wrong, she has to add another book onto her TBR, which is always incredibly chaotic to see. Those are my answers to the 2024 Quarter Year Crisis book tag. Have you already found a book that you think might be the top of the pile for your 2024 reading? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a clock emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.